Hi, I'm Chris, and this is Ashley, and we are a marriage surviving infidelity and sexual addiction. It's been a little while since we've made a video. The reason for that was because Ashley was out of town, and that kind of has sparked what we would like to talk about today. We want to talk about things that I do to prepare for when Ashley's going to be gone for an extended period, and then Ashley is going to share some thoughts of for herself, the thoughts, emotions she has. Um, so for myself as an addict, the main thing that I have to do is prepare. Um, I feel like for me, and it's probably the case for most addicts, if there's not structure, um, there's a tendency to kind of go down bad paths. And so knowing that Ashley's going to be gone for an extended period of time will lead me to create some additional structure and some additional boundaries and bottom lines for myself. And so I take time to think about, okay, what are kind of my problem areas, and what do I need to fortify? And so just examples for myself, because these will be different for everybody, but for myself, being up late at night is not a good thing when I'm alone. And so I set a bedtime for myself of, I will be in bed at this time. And I also set a boundary that I'm not going to watch TV. We have a television in our room, so I'm not going to watch that TV here in the room. Um, Laptop. I set rules that I'm not going to be on a laptop. However, and this is something that we discuss together, like sometimes I need to work from my laptop. So if that's something that needs done, then I talk to Ashley about it. And then that laptop is in the kitchen with the kids around us, and it's not after they're asleep. It's out there in the open with kids, just those extra safeties, and of course talking to Ashley about it. And so when I set up these boundaries, these bottom lines, these rules, if I break that, that is a slip. And that's something that needs to be told to Ashley, that I will tell her immediately. And then we have that same kind of routine or guideline for us that, okay, if not immediately, which is the ideal, we're shooting for 24 hours. But as we discussed in one of our videos, have that inventory every week where I can reflect upon the week, and did I have any slips or anything that I need to talk to Ashley about? And I have that opportunity again to talk about, well, did I stay up later than I said I was? Did I turn on the TV and watch something? So those are the kind of things I do for myself. I also prepare by kind of having my safe people that I can call if I'm feeling vulnerable, feeling weak. So I have a list of people so that it's not just, tried to get a hold of, one person, they didn't answer, and so I'm leaving myself out to dry. No, I have my list of, okay, couldn't get a hold of them. Who's next? And go down the list until I talk to somebody. And I set that up for myself. So
Talk to them. What do you talk to them about?
well, for instance, if I'm feeling weak or vulnerable, and these are obviously people that know about my addiction. They're again safe people, so these are people that I know I can rely on. We have a relationship in that way. Um, Ashley's always been the ideal person, um, and so she's definitely one of those people. But there's also certain times where Ashley may not be reachable, and that's why there's a list of people, to go down. And obviously, if there's any kind of a slip with any of the bottom lines, any the boundaries that I've set up for myself, or with pornography, that goes straight to Ashley, and that goes immediately. And if I can't get a hold of her on the phone, it's a text message, so at least it's out there. It's not, okay, couldn't get a hold of her. Hours later when we finally talk, it's talk to her about something else and hide that. No, text message immediately, because then she knows, and then we can always talk about it. So.
And for me, at the beginning, going out of town or even leaving for like a long extended period of the day was really difficult. It's a very scary thing. If you think that, you know, your spouse is going to look at pornography or act out on their sexual addiction while you're away, it's crippling. You know, it's very painful. It's a very scary thing. You don't want to leave. You kind of have the desire to, I don't know, I felt like I would want to kind of like patrol it, or if I stay there, then he won't mess up. There, all kinds of emotions kind of come in on that. And I eventually just got to a point where I was like, I don't want to ever feel like I can't leave for a week or a weekend or whatever, you know. My sister lives far away, and I don't want to ever feel like I can't visit her because of my spouse's addiction. And so I just got to a point where all of these things that he talked about, they were all things that he came up with on his own. It's, for me, everybody has ways that it works for them, that I've heard lots of different boundaries and guidelines that they set up for these kinds of things. But from the very beginning, I didn't want to patrol. You know, I didn't want to be the one to set boundaries. There might be a time or two where I'm like, hey, if you do this, that might make me feel a little bit more comfortable too. I might put that in there,
Sure.
but it's not very often.
Yeah.
I like him to be in control of it, because I feel like that is his accountability. This is his addiction. That is his accountability. That is his responsibility to set up those boundaries and bottom lines towards what's going to work for him for his addiction. And so I kind of have just always let him take it on. And luckily he does. And unfortunately, I know that there's some that don't. And so that's where, you know, the other spouse might feel the need to hop in there and be like, okay, Lil, let's set up some boundaries and bottom lines. And that's a really difficult situation. And so I'm very thankful that Chris has constantly created safety for me, because that's what it is. It becomes safe for me to leave because he's set up all these things, and he'll sit me down and he'll say, this is what I'm thinking while you're gone. This is what I'm going to do. And then he calls me every night and he checks in. And that makes it safe for me to be away, even if he was lying or if he did slip or any of those kinds of things. Again, it's things that we have to work on together, and those boundaries and bottom lines that he presents for himself make it more comfortable for me. So I'm very thankful for that. But this is a very hard thing to go through, and so we just have to make sure that we take those steps and procedures. And my biggest thing is that I just wanted to keep living life and still being in support of him. So I'm very thankful that he calls and lets me know when he's struggling, or checks in with his day when he stuck to all his boundaries and bottom lines. It's just a very, there can always be safety. I once had a person say safety is easier to create than trust. You know, like sometimes it's still hard, if I'm being honest, sometimes it's still hard for me to believe, did you not do anything at all? Or, you know, that's still sometimes in my mind. But these safety protocols that he does, it has made those be less and less and less. The question of, is he telling the truth, or what if? And so I just say, you know, the bottom lines and the boundaries and the check-ins has been what's made it comfortable for me or him to have to leave for an extended period of time from one another and still feel safe. So hopefully that's helpful. And again, just any comments or thoughts that you guys have, we're happy to make videos of. That's just one we wanted to share, just because it was so recent. So thank you.
Thanks.